The Nintendo Switch 2 space is getting crazy. The leaks, the rumors, the information, all of it. And even stuff that we potentially know. But nothing is confirmed until Nintendo officially reveals it, or when we get our hands on it. But anyways, the thing is really crazy because we know pretty much every single part that is going into the Switch 2. We know the motherboard, we know the backwards compatibility-ness, we also know the use of potential upscaler. So if you don't know what an upscaler is, it's, let's just say you're playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on it. Now you can play the game running it at 30 frames per second at 720p. With an upscaler, it uses AI and whatever to mix and match it. Now you can be playing the game at 4K and 40 FPS. Whatever the case may be, we know that Nintendo is working on some kind of thing like this. Now, this would be really good for the Nintendo Switch 2 because then, instead of always all the games, starting to show their age, we're going to see something more powerful and absolutely a delight to play on. And this is really amazing. Now, another thing that was mentioned was the screen. Now, the Nintendo Switch OLED screen is 7 inches. Now, the Nintendo Switch 2 screen will supposedly 8 inches. But this comes with a cost. The OLED screen. We're not going to be seeing the OLED screen because you want to cut back on cost. With the OLED screen on the base Nintendo Switch, it's, well, Canadians, it's about $450. It's about $400 or even $380 without the OLED screen. So you're pretty much saving money, and this really comes to terms that the Nintendo Switch 2 will most likely be maybe the same price as the PS5. This might be the case, but hopefully it's not the case. Now, another thing that was also mentioned with the Nintendo Switch 2 is if you have your Switch 2 games, you might be able to place them into the Switch. Well, we already know it's backwards compatible, but you might be able to put them in there and the upscaler or whatever will do its thing to make sure that that game looks great. Because technically, when you're playing on the Nintendo Switch 2, you're using a older game, an older hardware kind of year game, and you're putting it into it. You're using new technology to bring up the quality of that game. So overall, it would be really cool. Now, one thing that was mentioned was that potentially the games could be a lot bigger. And this is a big problem for digital and potentially physical. Now, Nintendo's cartridges for the physical games are currently capped at 20 gigabytes. So you can't go over 20 gigabytes or else you're not going to be able to store any more files. But if you're using more power and more textures, more quality, a 1080p, something that's 1080p, will be less gigabytes than something that is 1440p or even 4K. Now, this might be a big concern because what if they're actually working on something that's like that? Maybe they can't produce the cartridge. It might have to be digital only. And this kind of sucks. But I don't think that it's going to be like this for every single game. It'll probably just be for maybe the third party or whatever game. Because who knows? Maybe they did find a solution to this. Maybe they found a better cartridge to fit the big game. Or will they give you more storage? Who knows? Whatever the case may be, I'm sure Nintendo by now has figured it out. So you probably don't have to be scared about big games. If they're following in the steps of PlayStation and Xbox, I feel like there's something to be concerned about. Because their games, you can't find a single one that's under $20 or under 20 gigabytes anymore. So when you're buying your first party game, Horizon or whatever it is, Spider-Man, the game's not going to be 20 gigabytes because of all the textures. It probably won't even be 60. I think that game's actually like 80 or 100 gigabytes. Anyways, this might be a little problem for some people. I know that maybe it's a little problem, but hopefully we can use hard drives or whatever. So that would probably clean up. Anyways, another thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 is we know the chipset, the motherboard, and everything associated with that. Now the motherboard is using a NVIDIA STN24 anyways. It's using another NVIDIA chip. So that is really fantastic because NVIDIA makes absolutely amazing tech. Now, we see this in the Nintendo Switch because the Nintendo Switch shouldn't be able to, honestly, I still think it looks pretty good. Look as good as it does with like 7 or 8 year old tech. So overall, the Nintendo Switch itself looks absolutely amazing. Now, there's one other thing that really seems to look pretty good with this motherboard. Now, we're gonna get at least 12 gigabytes of memory. So this is really fantastic. Not memory like console storage, memory like RAM, so you can store more information at once. Now the console storage is rumorly going to be something like 256 gigabytes. So overall, more than the Nintendo Switch itself. And this is really amazing. So probably we're going to be seeing this because of the bigger game files. Now, the bigger game files, I know it might be a little sad to see us transition from just like maybe, I don't think I have a game that's over 20 gigabytes and to something that's going to be 60. It's a little sad. But when you look at it, the Nintendo Switch 2 will offer you more storage and also they'll give you more power. So you want your game to look good? There you go. You gotta make the little sacrifice, the tiny little sacrifice to encounter this. Now for physical game users, something that will most likely happen, instead of you being able to, plug in and play, just like plop the game from the store in and then immediately play it, you're probably going to need to download probably the other half of the game if this is the case. But to me, I don't think that this is actually the case. I feel like we're still going to have 1080p games, but with an upscaler, we're going to see something from 1080p jump to potentially 4K. But 1440p seems most likely how it's going to sit. So you don't really have to say goodbye to your low gigabyte games. You can just say, hello, Upscaler, welcome to the party. Anyways, Mr. Upscaler is going to be doing his job to make sure your game looks absolutely amazing. Now, the games that will most likely launch with the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, of course, we know that Pokemon Legends EA is coming out near this time. So, you put 2 and 2 together, and this is most likely a launch title. Same thing with Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 most likely will be another launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2, and this is pretty fantastic. Now, in terms of Nintendo, releasing the Nintendo Switch 2, when is this gonna happen? Now, I'm mostly thinking that maybe, just maybe, we'll see it in March. Maybe on Mario Day, that would be pretty fantastic. But to really see the Nintendo Switch 2, maybe more in June of this year, we'll see some kind of Nintendo Switch 2. Or if it's the other case, maybe they didn't finish everything that they wanted to. We want this console to be the absolute very, very best. So, they're gonna have to make it the best. So when it launches, it's gonna be an absolute beauty, an absolute unit. Anyways, the Nintendo Switch 2, it's really exciting, and we could actually see a reveal trailer this month, so in January of 2025. So, you don't really have long to wait for this console to be announced, because, we're almost there that the fiscal year in Japan, we're almost there, because they said you will get the reveal and potentially even it'll be out by then. So overall, you don't have to wait for long. You don't have to wait for anything for even that long. The Nintendo Switch 2 is coming, and this is crazy. I am super excited to finally get my hands on this beautiful Nintendo Switch 2. Now, there's one thing that I forgot to mention. The Switch 2. You know how the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons have a set number of buttons. You got your capture, your home, every single button for video games. Apparently, this one's going to have another button. A C button. A button that you can use to do something else. But anyways, that hasn't really been, revealed what it's going to do. But you might see a special, unique little button for your Nintendo Switch 2. Whatever the case may be, it's there, and I hope to see it in January. That would be really fantastic. Imagine, that would just blow you out of the waters. That could be the most viewed trailer ever. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2 news, whatever the case may be. Consider to drop a like, maybe subscribing. I would really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you're just excited as I am to get your hands on the Nintendo Switch 2. This is a crazy time that we're finally, after all these long years, getting the Nintendo Switch 2. Anyways, I really, really appreciate you watching this video. And with that being said, I hope you have an amazing day. And see you in the next one.